Hello, this is Darren.
And this is Paige.
And this is
Where's the Lemonade?
Where we talk about what happens when life throws you lemons.
Make some lemonade?
Maybe. Some weeks it's lemon squares.
Yeah, some weeks it's just lemons.
Yeah. On today's episode,
we are talking about discipline in blended families.
And for the kids in two homes. Okay, first let's talk about what is discipline. It's kind of a touchy subject for a lot of people. A lot of people say that discipline and punishment are the same things, but when we talk about discipline, we need something specific.
Like what?
Well, to us, discipline includes rules and then consequences for those rules, right? So real discipline means that you're teaching your kids how to be a good human being. So just having rules with no consequences is worthless. And just having consequences with no rules makes it really hard for a kid to know what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah, it's true. So you have to have consequences for their actions. Now, we've talked about this before in our podcast, that the rules are the same for all the kids, right?
Right, but the consequences may be different,
right,
depending on each child.
Because kids are very different.
Yeah, very different. It's not your kids or my kids where the consequences may be different. It's each child is very different. But imagine that compounded with blending families together, and then also these kids also having to know what the rules and the consequences are in different homes as they're going back and forth between two parents.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy at all, especially in the beginning. It is a lot of ironing out of all of our different
opinions. There are things that really have to be hammered out.
Styles. We had different discipline styles, and which even in non-blended families, right? Two people have two different styles of how they discipline, but it is much more pronounced and...
Well, because you had already raised your older kids all the way out of the house, and then we had some that were half raised still in the house on my side and on your side. So you already had a pattern of discipline in your home.
Yes, and that is probably one of the touchiest subjects in blending families. As I notice in my Facebook groups that I'm a part of with blended families, it is a hot topic, because when all of a sudden new stepdad is disciplining stepkid and the mom's going, what are you doing? That's not how I do it. You know, it's
that's such a, or even exacerbating that, where the kids have just gotten back from their bio mom or their bio dad and now are coming into your home, and the discipline is different in each home. That compounded onto a blending of families, it can be a disaster.
It is. That's a very touchy subject as well, because then you're blaming the bio parent, going, "Oh my goodness, what's going on over there?" And
these poor kids are stuck in the middle.
Yes,
having a hard time figuring out, navigating what real discipline really is.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so when you and I got married, there was some...
We did get married. I remember that.
We did? Do you remember that?
I remember that. It was awesome.
Good. Then we're not that old yet.
No, we're not that old. We still remember.
Okay, good. We had some definite different discipline styles. Our rules were very close.
Yeah, our rules were very close.
We were very, very close on the rules, which made things easy that way. But our discipline techniques and styles were a little bit different.
Yeah, and you know what? Maybe we need to add one more thing to discipline. It's rules, consequences, and how we let the kids know what those rules are when they're going outside of the boundaries of those rules. That was one of the big things that was different between you and I.
What do you mean?
Well, I used the counting method.
Oh,
I know you hate the counting method. And I thought I was being smart, because I wouldn't say things like, in 3 seconds, I'm going to count to 3, and then you need to stop what you're doing. I never did that. I counted backwards, because I thought I was like circumventing the threat by saying 5, 4, 3. And what I found out was my kids knew how to count backwards really, really well.
Yeah.
That's all they learned from that. They
Right.
didn't really learn consequences for their actions.
So yes, that was one of the things, because when Darren and I got married, we had a 4, 5, and 6-year-old, and then we had a 12, 14, anyway, then older.
14, 16, 16.
Yeah. So we still had some little kids that needed some, definite disciplining and rules and having those enforced.
It's all about learning.
Right. And yes, I remember when I don't think I'd seen you count before we got married. I'm trying to remember.
No, you had.
Had I?
Yeah, you mentioned it to me before we got married.
Okay. But he starts counting 5, 4, and I'm sitting there going, what are you doing?
Yeah, you said it to me afterwards, not at the
Oh,
moment.
no. I wouldn't have done that in front of the kids. No. But yeah, afterwards I was like, what was that? And he's like, well, it's counting. People count. This is a thing.
Yeah, and you taught me, why would you give them 5 seconds to stop doing something wrong?
Yes, so
You just tell them, stop doing what you're doing.
people don't know, some people probably don't know this about me. I am the fun parent for sure, but I'm also a very strict
Why
parent.
do you get to say you're the fun parent?
Because I am.
All the kids will agree.
I am. But I am also probably more...
You're more strict than I am.
I am strict. I'm like, you know what? This is how it is. And if you want to have fun, then this is how you've got to toe the line and then we can have fun. But yes, so I am very much, why would you give your child 5 more seconds to misbehave? That makes no sense to me.
Right. So, and you know what? It was hard for me at first when you were like, you're telling me how to raise my kids?
Right. Yeah.
But I said, wait, I need to take a different perspective on this. I need help raising these kids, right? Because I'm a single dad and I need help raising these kids. And your kids are good kids. My kids were good kids. They were still young.
Right.
So I listened to what you had to say and I started incorporating that. And it threw my kids off. Wait, you're not counting, Dad? No, I'm not counting. The consequences are here right now.
And I wasn't trying to tell you, I don't think I was that direct in saying, what are you doing? But I definitely said, hey, maybe
You said, what are you doing?
Okay, maybe I did.
But not in the moment. Later, you said, we need to talk. I'm like, okay. But I appreciated that. But for me, I had to swallow a little bit of pride and humble myself enough to say, look, you're trying to help me help the kids.
I'm trying to help you raise the best human beings that we can raise.
Right. And I think from that point on, we really kind of started listening to each other more about, all right, we took advantage of the different styles that we were using to come together.
Yes, and you have to be willing in a blended family. You have to be willing to listen to each other and compromise. You're going to have to compromise, because if you really would have wanted to keep the counting, that would have really bummed me out, but it's not the end of the world. It's
Right.
You know what I mean? It's really not. So you still have, but you were willing to go, you know what, I can see your point of why you think counting is stupid. Now, I am not trying to offend anyone out there. If you count and it works for you, that is just
But
fine.
I have to tell you from doing both, just it's time to stop.
Yeah, I'm just like, whatever.
Why
if we're counting, it's because they're doing something they're not supposed to be doing, and I'm going, well, then they need to stop right now.
Yeah.
Not in 5 seconds. And like I said, I used to know people that would go 3, 2.5.
Yeah,
Come on,
all
I'm getting closer. 2. I'm almost there. And I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, they're still doing something wrong. So that's interesting, because our discipline styles in that was the delivery of the consequence.
Right.
Right? The rules were the same. In fact, when we got married, there were very few rules that were different between the kids.
Yeah, we're very lucky that way.
We are.
We had, all of the big things were already
there.
We're already agreed on.
And for the teenagers, it was a little bit more fuzzy when we first got married.
Yeah.
Because they'd already been living. But the younger kids, most definitely, same rules for the younger kids almost right away.
Right. Now, I think we've talked about this in a different episode, the nacho kid.
Yeah, we mentioned it a little bit, but I think we need to dig deeper on this one.
So that is a huge parenting style that people are using in blended families. It's called nacho kid, meaning it's not your kid, nacho kid.
It's not your bio kid, so
Right.
you have no reason to discipline.
Right. You don't
that the
have
concept?
Yeah, you don't have any say. Like, you do your kids, I do mine, and that's how we're going to be a happy family. And it's kind of, I mean, there's books on it. It's kind of taken off.
I say rubbish.
I just don't see how that works. I don't.
Different rules for different kids in the same house.
Yeah, I think that seems like
all
a recipe for a disaster.
To me, it sounds like a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
But we learned real quick when we first got married, there were certain things we would talk about with the older kids, with our teenagers, before any consequences would happen.
Right.
It wasn't like we're putting down the gauntlet. I couldn't put the gauntlet down on your kids if they were doing something that was breaking the rules, and you couldn't really do it with my kids.
No.
So in that respect, it was Nacho Kids, but we talked about it. We didn't just ignore it. We said, look, I would say, Paige, so-and-so is doing this, and, maybe you didn't see it, but we need to talk about this.
Right. Right. And we did do that. And when you have teenagers in a blended family, it is best, we think, this is our opinion, it is best not to discipline your stepkids.
At the first, now when our kids had been raised together, no problem.
Oh, well.
We're talking when you first blend,
Yes,
right?
I'm talking when you first blend, and the older kids.
Yes.
It's the older kids. You cannot discipline each other's kids if they're over, I would say 13, 14. You can't. It's a bad for your relationship with them.
Well, I wouldn't even say you're still disciplining, but you're not doing the consequence side.
Yes.
The rule,
Yes.
You're still enforcing the rule. The rules are still the rules. You don't let them slide.
Right.
Right, but you have to then coordinate better with your spouse and say, look, these rules were not, these rules were broken today by so-and-so.
Right.
What are we going to do about it?
Well, and I guess if we were in the kitchen and you weren't there, I would still say to, your kids, hey, get up, help, do the dish, So I did still say, hey, you're helping with this or you're helping with that.
So that is kind of discipline, because that's a part of discipline. I think discipline has such a bad connotation for punishment, but it's not real punishment. So it's only in the cases where things are going really off the rails.
Right.
That you would say, hey, probably not say anything at all and then talk to me later.
Exactly.
And say, look, we've got a major problem here
Yes.
that we've got to deal with.
Yes. Now with the little kids, since we had a 4, 5, and 6-year-old,
They're both our kids.
they were our kids. I was with them while you were at work, so I can't sit there and say to a 4-year-old, okay, well, wait till your dad gets home tonight. Like, that just does not work. So we discipline all 3 kids. There's no difference anymore.
There's no difference.
Yeah.
And I would say even with the bottom 5, even with Jacob and Julianne, even though they were teenagers, they were young teenagers, and they kind of, meshed pretty well.
Oh, and Jacob and Julianne were just such discipline
they're good
problems.
kids. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
They're was really good kids.
Oh, so hard to discipline those amazing children.
There were some times when it was tough, when Julianne was learning what it was like to have hormones pumping through her system, that I didn't know what to do.
Yeah, she's going to love this part of the podcast.
Well, hey, sorry, Julianne. But I think everyone, when they go through those changes and things like that, it's hard to navigate that. And me being a dad with the 3 oldest are boys, I didn't know what to do with a girl.
Well, and she was going through a rough time.
The divorce, and her body's changing.
And having a new stepmom and not knowing what to do with her.
So I really leaned on you heavily for help. What do I do?
Right, and I would give you suggestions, and then you would go enforce that. I didn't go enforce that.
But there were times later on that you did, and you formed a nice bond with Julianne because of that.
later on, but not
at the beginning.
Not in the beginning, absolutely not. That's just going to put a wedge between you and your stepkids.
Now, another thing that we've talked to some friends about was when they combined their families, they combined all their rules and didn't throw any out. So now these kids had all these rules just piled on from both homes. I can't even imagine what that would do to a kid.
Yeah, you've got to weed
be
through them.
Smart.
Yeah.
Right? You've got to be flexible, and remember the whole purpose of the rules and discipline is to help teach your children to be good adults.
Right.
Right?
That's our goal.
That's our goal. Okay, now we're going to talk about the kids and going between two homes. And it can be really difficult because even though you and your ex-spouse raise these kids to a certain point, they've probably brought in someone else as well. And there may be more kids involved. So the rules are more than likely going to be different in the two homes.
Of course. And because you split up, if you were doing something together and now you went, well, I didn't like that she was doing that anyway. Right. You throw something out. And so they're definitely going to be different rules at different houses.
Absolutely. And you may even throw out a rule just despite.
Exactly. Especially in the beginning. Yes.
Especially in the beginning.
In the beginning.
Well, I know it's your mom's, or when we were all together, we used to do this.
Right.
We're not doing that anymore. I'm doing my own thing
yes,
now.
Yes.
Right. That's pretty common.
Right. But yeah, that can be really tough. And I know in the beginning when your kids were so little, it was hard when they would come to our house and there were these rules, and then they went to your ex and they were those rules, and then when they came back, the transition day was really difficult.
Yeah, the first day was always really tough. They were always more emotional. They were always more grumpy and breaking rules that they probably forgot about. I mean, just simple, small things.
Kind of testing the boundaries every time they would go back and forth, to see what was happening at each house.
And I would say that's probably pretty normal.
Yeah.
I mean, because we saw it for, I don't know, probably a year and a half.
We did, especially since the little ones were so little. But yeah, we always had this kind of tough transition day of them going, oh yeah, I'm at this house now, and these are the rules.
This is the discipline style at this house, which is different than at my mom's house.
Right. So now it's different because Sam, we have 100% of the time, so Sam didn't have that.
Never had to go through that.
Nope, he didn't have that back and forth, but he did see the kids come back and see how, maybe they act a little differently. And
yeah, he noticed it. He even talked to us about it.
Yeah. So, yeah, that can be really, really difficult.
So it's really important that you understand what your kids are going through.
Yes.
But here's the trick. When they come back on those transition days, the rules are the rules. But the discipline that goes with those rules or the consequences that goes with those rules on that first day may change a little bit.
Well, and you can say to them when they've done, something naughty, they've broken a rule, you can say, I understand, or I can try and understand that this is really difficult, that you're coming back over here and there's different rules. I can imagine that this would be really hard, but we still have to keep these rules. We love you, but this is still the rule here.
Right.
But you can try and empathize with them and say, I imagine.
And maybe the consequence is different at that point in time.
Right.
Right. You have to give them some credit. They're going through a lot.
They're going through a lot. These poor kids.
Yeah.
Back and forth. And then we've also had instances, and I know lots of people do. I've seen this on the threads that I'm on in Facebook, that say you ground your child from whatever, their phone, video games, and then they go back to their moms or their dads the next day.
Yeah, 2 days later.
And they're like, sweet, get my electronic back. That's tough.
That is tough. And this is where you have to coordinate with your ex and say, look, our goal together is to raise these children the best that we can, even though we've kind of screwed them up already. Because divorce, I don't care what anyone says out there, divorce really puts a number on kids.
It does. It's tragic. It's tragic.
It's tragic for them. So you've got to somehow swallow your pride, talk to each other about, if they've done something really bad, right, that you've agreed that a common punishment or consequence for that would be maybe a grounding, then you have to make sure that that's carried across the different homes.
And we've had that. It's worked and it hasn't worked. I mean, we've had it where it has been carried out, and then sometimes where we just have to carry it back out when they come back to our house. Right. And that's just the way it goes.
And it was just because we didn't communicate well.
Right, exactly. And that's just the way it goes. So that is hard for the kids, though. And I think that's kind of a good point for the kids, because if they get in trouble at one house and then 2 days later they're going back to their other parents' house.
The kids play it.
They're like, sweet.
Yeah. The kids know how to work that. So be mindful of that, and remember that you're in this to help raise these kids, right? So you've got to figure that out. Another thing I would suggest is try your best to have some common rules across the different households if you can.
And we've been really fortunate with that.
We have.
With your ex and even my ex. We on all of the big things. We're pretty much in agreement.
Yeah, we're in total agreement.
We're totally. I mean, it's just the smaller things that are mundane little things that. I mean, like we don't allow electronics in our kids' rooms. I don't think that's a rule at your ex's house. I mean, just small things like that. But in all of the major areas, we're
in pretty much lockstep, which is important.
It is important, and we're really fortunate that way.
Yeah, we absolutely are. But I guess the key takeaway from this is try your best to communicate with your ex.
Yep.
And give your kids the benefit of the doubt on those transition days, but make sure that the rules are the same.
I totally agree.
That they don't, the rules are different today because you're having a bad day. No.
Right. Empathize with them, but they still have to keep the rule.
They still have to keep the rule. Maybe their consequences different that day.
Right.
But the rule still has to be kept.
Right. All right, so our last section in this episode is our tips.
Yeah, what we've learned, what has worked and what hasn't worked.
And
we got a lot of things that worked.
Yeah.
And we got some really bad examples too.
Okay, like what?
Well, I think the number one thing and I guess I learned it from my dad, it's the outrageous consequence.
Oh, I hate the outrageous consequence.
We've all done it, especially at the end of a long car ride, after being in the car for 10 hours and the book has run out and the kids are going crazy. And
Darren says, if you don't knock it off, you're going to walk home. Oh, okay. They're going to walk from Reno to home. Okay.
They're going to walk 120 miles. Yeah. Oh. Everyone knows that's an empty threat. I guess that's the right term.
Yes.
So empty threats, all it does is just let the kids know that you're upset, but there's no consequence. There's nothing going on there.
I feel like when you threaten
you're
with
just
outrageous,
showing your anger.
You're just showing them that you're not serious.
Yeah, that's
You're
true.
not serious because obviously you cannot come through with this. So I feel like they're just like, okay, whatever, that they can get away with
and what
it.
that does is anytime that you do say, here's the threat, if you don't stop this, they're not going to take you serious.
Right. So no outrageous threats. If you're going to threaten, it has to be with something that you can come through with.
And then why even threaten? Yeah, I mean, you've kind of taught me that.
Yeah.
Right? Especially, and I think this works out really, it's a simple example. Like, we have a rule in our house, the kitchen is open anytime, as long as you clean up after yourself. And that includes all of our neighbors, all of our neighbor kids. And I have loved it when our neighbor kids that are new in the house, and they come over and you say, hey, open, you guys can have whatever you want. Make sure you clean up. And they don't.
Yeah. Then I get mad at them.
Yeah, you don't threaten them.
No.
You say, you get your skinny butts back here in the kitchen and you clean up your mess.
Yes.
You don't say, if you don't clean up your mess, I'm not going to have the kitchen open anymore.
No. I say, get back in here and clean up. And next time, I don't want to have to tell you this because you're just going to clean up. And they do.
Yeah, it's amazing. I sit in awe when I see you do this because all the neighbor kids do it. All of our kids do it. It's truly amazing.
And I don't want people to think that you just have to do this once and it happens. I remind our kids all the time.
All the time.
They start to walk out of the kitchen and I go, what where are you going? Get back in there.
But I like how the consequence is immediate.
Yeah.
Get it done.
Get it done.
Right? And it's appropriate.
Right.
I think that's the other thing is that consistency that you mentioned is key. When a rule is broken, you need to point it out and say, look, and be consistent about it.
Consistency is vital in raising, I think, happy, well-adjusted kids is consistency. Definite consistency.
Absolutely.
And none of this wait until your dad comes home stuff. You just can't. That's back in the 50s and 60s. You just can't do that. You can't do that. You cannot say, wait until your dad comes home. Now, when there have been times where you've gotten home and I've told you something that has gone on, and I do want you to have a talk with that child.
But you've already corrected them.
Absolutely. It's already been corrected, but you can still sit with them and say, hey, I heard this happen today, and let's talk about this. And
right. Well, and there's been times when you've been gone and I've talked to the kids and I said, you know what, your mom and I need to talk about this.
Right. Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
If it's something that's big, then hey, it most definitely, you need to show union. You
Right.
need to show that you're working together.
And there have been times where I've said, you know what, you need to go to your room, and I need to talk to your dad either on the phone or when he comes home. So, I mean, because there are times where you just are going, I'm not sure how to handle this
to handle it,
situation.
yeah.
And I don't want to handle it wrong. And so that, therefore, let's just push pause.
So what you're saying is, instead of just pushing the punishment for me to do, you're saying, I want to consult before
Absolutely.
the consequence for this
Exactly.
rule breaking
Yes,
happens.
yes. I need a consultation, please.
You know what? I think that's a really healthy attitude.
Yeah. So let's
Right.
let's pause. Like, you're still in trouble. Go to your room, right?
Right.
And you're gonna stay in your room till
And
we
then
figure this out,
We're going to talk about it.
and we're gonna talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that also gives you time to relax,
Yes. Absolutely.
right, and think clearly, because I know I have to think clearly before I dish out a punishment for something that's bad, right?
Yes.
That's in the moment.
Yes. And if you're super angry in the moment, the best thing to do and to say is nothing. Don't
Yeah,
say
that's really
anything.
hard.
Don't say anything. Take a breath.
Okay.
Take a breath. You can do it.
It is important that you do, though.
Yes.
Right. And if that even means, you know what, you go to your room, I'm going to go to my room.
Right. We're both going to have time out, and let's meet back here in a little bit.
Yes. Now that could be really difficult if a kid is like mouthing off and won't be quiet and doing that. Then most definitely you need separation.
Oh, most definitely they need to be in their room in
Yes,
that
and-
situation.
yeah,
most
most
definitely.
You know what I have found? We also talked about the counting up and counting down.
Yeah.
We don't even do that anymore. Our kids
No.
know that, hey, you did something wrong.
No, that hasn't happened in years. But I know families that use it and it's worked for them, and that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
I don't care for it, and that's fine.
Well, I like the way that we do it. For example, if the kids have left a mess in the family room, we just say, come down and clean up the family room.
Yeah, right now.
You have 10 seconds to come down and clean up the family
No,
room.
it's stop what you're doing
Stop
this
what you're
very
doing.
moment and do this right now. Yeah.
Exactly. So I really like that approach.
Okay, so let's end this on kind, firm, consistent.
You
right?
mentioned earlier that you're the fun parent. All the kids would agree. You're fun. You're kind. You're firm, though,
I am firm.
right?
I am firm. And they would all say that too.
They would all say that too,
Mm-hmm.
right? And consistency. And the consistency is not just over time, it's consistency between you and I.
Right. Absolutely.
It's the same, right?
Right.
So I know, I've heard this before. Mom went on a girls' trip, and dad spends, the whole day cleaning up the day before she comes home,
Uh-huh.
right? That doesn't happen at our house. Did you know that?
No, what happens?
The same thing that happens when you're at the house.
Oh, everyone just keeps cleaning all the
keeps cleaning
time.
up.
Yeah.
And I learned real quick, I still have to write them,
Of course.
right?
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of this consistency that the kids,
Right. Right. That it doesn't just go to heck when I leave.
yes.
Yeah, it's still there.
The consistency
Yeah.
is still there. The kids need to feel that. It helps them feel grounded. It helps them feel like they have something solid in their life, even though their life has been turned upside down.
And I want to give a shout out to our kids, our 10 kids. Thank you. A lot of you have been guinea pigs for a lot of our different
we always
discipline
say
techniques.
the first kids are, sorry kids.
Yes, they've been our guinea pigs, and we appreciate their patience in us learning how to be good parents, because it's not easy, and we are still learning every day. So kids, we love you. You've been patient with us, and we have 10 amazing kids.
Hey, make sure the kitchen's clean.
Put your dishes in the dishwasher.
Okay, our funny moment of the week this week happens to be with one of our good friends, our neighbors.
Yep, they're like family.
Yeah.
And their daughter just went to Peru for a humanitarian mission type experience.
And in Peru, they eat guinea pig.
They do. Now, Brooke, that's our friend's daughter, Brooke. She has 2 guinea pigs as pets.
And I always joked with her, because I ate guinea pig when I lived in Brazil. I always joked with her that I'd be over to when the guinea pigs were fat enough to cook one.
And she was always horrified when you said that.
I know she was.
And so we went over the other night to see pictures of her trip, and we wanted to hear all about her experiences that she had. And
We saw a little video.
she ate guinea pig. And I'm like, you ate your pet? Like, that's like us eating Heidi. Like, that just doesn't make any sense.
Heidi is kind of portly. I bet she'd be kind of tasty.
Makes no sense. So yeah, she went to this restaurant where I think it was kind of a novel thing. They brought this guinea pig out, deep fried, with a hat on, and it still had its front like buck teeth sticking out. It was
did.
so disgusting. And there's a video of Brooke putting a bite of guinea pig in her mouth.
So that's our funny
And then she
moment.
spit it out.
Yeah.
She did spit it out. But I couldn't believe that she even put a bite of guinea pig. So we were joking with her that one day she's going to be like, Dad, fire up the grill.
That's right.
Let's throw my guinea pigs. Let's have dinner. If you like today's episode,
Give us 5 stars on iTunes, Spotify, Google.
and head to Facebook and like us,
And check out our blog at where'sthelemonade.org.
where you can leave questions and comments.
But most of all,
Go out and make some lemonade.
you betcha, baby. On our next episode,
We're going to talk about our trip that we're on right now
yeah, we're actually recording in Fairfax, Virginia. So you're going to hear all about this cool trip.
in our hotel room.